Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is The Thunder Show, aka WLTV, America's #1 wine show. Shiraz Beyond Yay. We spoke about Cote Rôtie during the whole GaryIsSorry.com trail that we did last week, and we did a Cote Rôtie, and Cote Rôtie are some of my favorite wines in the world. And today I'm going to find and try to explore and try to find one for you and for me, a less expensive version. And what I'm talking about is Australian Shiraz Viognier blends, blends that use the same kind of basic concept on producing what Cote Rôtie is, using the Shiraz and the Viognier grape. We have some very interesting wines here. I'm extremely enthusiastic about trying these wines because at the end of the day, for a good period there, from 2002 to 2004, this was my drink. You know, like Granny has like the scotch on the rocks with that twist or whatever it is. This was my drink, and I'm really enthusiastic about these wines. I haven't had the current vintage of a lot of these wines, but I've had almost all of these wines in prior vintages. So I'm excited about this show. I think it's going to be great. Something I want to do before we talk about today's show is talk about the Wine Library TV forum, because there's something cool going on there. A lot of people have been emailing me and saying, Gary, I read through the comments that you were here, or there was this event, or how do I hook up with other people? We always talk about what's great about wine besides everything else. It's the connection of people, community, bringing families together, bringing people together. During last weekend when all that hoopla was, a lot of people emailed me and said, you're changing my wine world and here's how. And a lot of it had to do not really about me, remember, because it's only a little bit of me, it's about the people they've met in what we call offlines. So if you're in any part of the country and you want to meet new friends and try different wines, here's a place where you can do that. Mott, link us up, Wine Library TV meets, and link us up for Wine Library TV forums. Introduce yourself. These are forums. This is where a lot of people have connected, made friends. There's an enormous amount of information. I know you're busy and you don't have a lot of time and all that hoopla, but if you get a chance, check it out. The links are below the video. It's a great place. Introduce yourself. You'll make friends like that. People watching the show, obviously you're good people. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be able to handle this. So, it is what it is. Let's get right into what we're doing. I'm really excited about this. This is one of the coolest packages I've seen in a while, too. This is Small Gully, Mr. Black's Concoction. I mean, this sounds like, some kids outside mixing all the different things, trying to make a bomb like I used to in a Pepsi 2-liter bottle. This is a 2004 vintage, 96% Shiraz, 4% Viognier, $15 US, and I'm excited about trying this. I've never had this wine or in any other vintages. First attempt. Great package, Small Gully, and I'm excited about trying it. Just gonna rinse. Other than that, what's going on? Not too much. Just focusing on trying to find some cool wines, and hopefully we'll do that here. Once again, the Australian wines rarely, ever have trouble with color. This one is no exception, very dark. What I love about Shiraz Viognier is Viognier is a white wine grape that mixes into this red wine, and what it does, it brings an enormous amount of aromatics to the table. And really, the two of them really tend to mix and make some very intriguing, different components, different smells, different flavors that you just don't get out of standard red wines. So that's where I have a lot of fun with it. It gets a little chemistry, it gets a little science class on you, and I enjoy that. So let's give this a little bit of a sniffy sniff. And right off the top, it's classic Australian nose. Very bright, very round fruit. Yeah, very over-the-top fruit. This is great. This has a beautiful, I always talk about this cocoa powder thing. Nestle's quick mix, just the powder of it. I get that here. There is that chocolate component. I also get apricots on the nose. And very rich, deep, syrupy, jammy, dessert-type flavors on the nose. Very, very over-the-top fruit. Really excited about the nose. Let's give it a whirl. So the Molly Dukers the other day, right? It was a whole hoopla. This is 15% alcohol. This is a fruit bomb. And guess what? The fruit contains the alcohol. This is a massive roller coaster of a wine, a monster of a wine. This is Andre slamming Big John Stud for the 10 G's in cash and then throws it into the crowd. Who can forget that? This is that big, that massive, an enormous amount of fruit. And this is the kind of wine that's as big as it looks and tastes. Not like Yankee Dare or King Kong Bundy, who are actually more like 6'5" people. It was just camera angles. Dare was a whole mess. The Nets, what a mess franchise they were. Anyway, this is a wine that brings the fruit and then finishes through. It doesn't fake you out. It doesn't seem that's too big and then falls apart. It comes at you big, it finishes big, but it contains the alcohol. Unlike the Molly Dukers that I panned that I thought were, $50, $60, this brings you roller coaster. This is New World. This is Old World fans. Leave the building immediately or you will be extremely upset because fruit's going to be shooting at you like laser tag or photon. I mean, this is a very massive, over-the-top fruit bomb of a Shiraz Beyond Yay. If you don't know what you're looking for or what you're getting yourself into, you may be completely blindsided. You may like that blindside. You may hate that blindside. But what I promise you is this is not going to shortcut or come up short on fruit or flavor. This is a tropical explosion of Skittles, Fruit Loops, every candy with fruit in it that you can imagine. Throw a couple of nerds in there because I love that. You can open each side. This is red and black fruit, cherries, strawberries, very well made, good firm tannins, a beautiful wine. If you're a New World fan, if you like those big Spanish explosion wines or Australian wines, this is something you need to seek out. I'm in like with this wine. I like you wine. I'm gonna go 90 plus on this wine, and for 15 bones, that is a steal, but you have to know what you're getting into. This is not a wine that I see goes very well with food. This is really by itself wine, by the fireplace. It's a really good wine though, and it's an 04, which is not the most heralded vintage. And I almost feel that is to the wine's advantage. Because if it was an 05 or an 01, more of the explosive vintages, I feel like it could have just, this is the top of the roller coaster. It could have just went into the wrong direction. Let's go 91 on this wine. Let's not chintz it. It's a good value. Let's move on. That's a good start. Especially because yesterday's show. Oof. This is a very interesting project. This is the Terlato and Chapatti Shiraz Beyond Yay blade from 2005, 14.5 alcohol content. This is from Victoria, which is not the place where you always think about. This is made in the Côte Rôtie style. And this is a really interesting, kind of combo between Tony Terlato, and Napa Valley Vintner and Paterno, the importer of the wine, and Michel Chapatti. And he is the classic, world-renowned winemaker from the Rhone region. This is 89 points, Robert Parker. And this is $17 US. You may be familiar, if you're a serious wine collector, with the classic Chapatti label, including, to allow people with the braille. This is really, really nice and really interesting. Big vintage, 2005. Really excited to see what this wine's got. A little bit lighter in color than the first wine, but still, once again, no issues with color. Very, very, very different. God, the first thing I thought of was matzah when I smelled this. Yeah, this almost smells like matzo ball soup. It's kind of wild. There's some sort of matzo grainy, weedy bread kind of aspect definitely going on this nose. Almost like cool, like fresh breath, kind of, those kind of things, minty, not minty, like more like, not the green cool breath, but the blue. Does that make sense? It's like a blue breeze. I don't know, very, very different kind of nose. Not what I expected at all. Let's give it a whirl. Wow, weird. You can really taste, we're so used to, Barossa or McLaren Vale. First one was from Barossa. Victoria is giving you a totally different flavor profile. This is probably a wine that they made on purpose in this area. I don't know the back history, but knowing that Michel Chapatti is so tremendous, wow, this wine's really growing on me. I'm about to say something that I don't say ever. This is an old world style wine from down under. And that's like putting a kangaroo into like a suit and tie and, just walking to, a fine restaurant, sitting down and eating. I mean, this is really shocking. This style is not what I expect or think of. The fruit is bright, but I'll tell you what, this actually reminds me more on the mouthfeel of a classic red Burgundy than anything else. Almost Pinot Noir-esque. Very earthy tones. I'm really being seduced by this wine. I like this wine a lot. I can so see why Parker went 89. He's much more for those fruit bomb forward wines. I think this has a perfect balance of, and I mean perfect. Wow, this wine's extremely good. I get burnt wood, tobacco pipe smoke, which I adore. Almost like a chocolate taffy caramel aspect on the mid palate. Beautiful sour flavors, almost like a sour plum, like a real nice, fresh, but slightly sour. You didn't wait long enough. Plum, it's really nice. I really like the tobacco smoke again. It's coming through very heavily. This is a rarity. I'm going to pour myself a little bit more. This is very interesting. I'll be honest with you. Out of every wine I think we've ever done, and we're almost 300 shows in now, this is the wine that's probably taken me for the complete biggest loop because it's completely different than what I expected it to bring to the table. Very obvious bright strawberry in the front palate is the only indication that this is a Australian wine to me. Very Rhone in its style, which is where I like to hang out in the Rhone region with my palate as much as possible. This wine is very, very, very much up my alley. And definitely not everybody's cup of tea. But speaking of tea, I almost get like a tea leaf component on the finish. I'm all over this wine. I'm going to go 92 plus on this wine. And I'm feeling it in a big time way. I'm being a little conservative. This is where, like, when you make an offer on a TV, you're like, please note, not valid in everything, not valid in Maryland, taxes included. This is that kind of wine. This is 92 plus to me, but please note, this is a very different kind of wine. It's got something for everybody, and I don't know if that means that people are going to find it coming up short with everybody, or everybody's going to like it. For me, it is just made perfectly. Heck, I'm going to go 93 points in this wine. Is that the second time I've upgraded in the same episode? Yeah. It's an interesting day. I'm going 93 points in this wine. I'm highly, highly recommending you find this wine. And what I love about it is it is imported by Paterno, so this wine should be everywhere. You should be able to find this wine. I think you guys would be very impressed. I think Parker really missed it. I really do. With 89 points, he's looking for that explosive fruit, but there's so much intrigue and so much more to this than people, it's not like a Hollywood blockbuster, but it's like a low budget Sundance, you know what I mean? That kind of wine, that kind of movie. The most second and third tier fruit and flavors in an under $20 wine I've tasted in a long time. Kudos to Pashut. Wow, great. Mr. Riggs, 2004, Shiraz Beyond Yay from Adelaide. This is, of course, made by Ben Riggs, the great winemaker. This is $20 US, 91 points, Robert Parker. 10 months in French oak. 25% of the French oak that they put in for 10 months is new each vintage. They rotate it out. Very classic concept that a lot of winemakers do. And I'm really excited about trying this wine. Now, this should be a real big explosive wine. It has been in the past. What I like about the Mr. Riggs is its new price point. This is a wine that kind of followed the market. A couple of vintages ago, you could find this wine for about $50, but now it's $19.99. Still getting great scores, 91 points, and this is 93% Shiraz, 7% Viognier. And did I say this was 95 and 5? I don't think I did. This was 95% Shiraz, 5% Viognier. So this is 93 and 7. Let's give it a whirl. Now this is back to more of the classic fruit bomb style. This has some vanilla, almost coconut aspect on the nose. I'm getting a really nice, ripe, dark blueberry component. Think of blueberry pancakes come to mind. With like chocolate raspberry syrup on top. And throw a little butter in there, why not? Let's give it a whirl. it's got real firm tannins. It's a dry wine. It's very complete, very juicy, very rich. Coming down from the last wine, which was so my style. So a little over the top. The alcohol got away from it a little bit, just a hair. It is 15% alcohol content. I feel it more. This is more towards the Molly Duker style, but not so Frankenstein, not as manipulated. I feel like the wine is showing its true sense in this case. I like the fruit. It's clean. It's got good mouthfeel. It reminds me of grape soda more than anything else. It really does have a Welch's grape soda component to it on the flavor profile, which does make it slightly artificial. I'm going to go 89 points in this wine. I like it. I think a lot of people will really like it. I can see people enjoying this wine. It's got a lot of grapefruit component to it, but I find it to be one-dimensional. Dimension is good, but it is kind of a one-trick pony. And from that standpoint, it's almost like, it's got no backhand if you're playing tennis. So, that's the kind of thing with it. Not bad. Definitely well-made wine, but just a certain style that kind of is just okay. I mean, you can just get that kind of style. I mean, for example, the Small Gully is almost like a better version of it. And finally, little rinse. Clonakilla, 2005. Shiraz Beyond Yay, 93%, Shiraz 7%. I like to call this Clon da Killa. It sounds like cool, like a rap name or somebody tough. Clonakilla, Shiraz, 93 points, Josh Reynolds, and this wine is $49 US. I thought this would be interesting to see if there really is, a lot of the complaints from a lot of people that drink the Australian wines is they taste the same between 15 and 50. And so this is much more in the price range of a Cote Rôtie, and let's see if it can show its pedigree. We picked a great one. Josh Reynolds is a great critic. I'm a big fan, 93 points. Josh writes for Steven Tanzer, is a great score from him. It's from a classic 2005 vintage. And $49 US, so it's packing a heavy price tag. So let's hope that it brings the thunder. Really nice color. Again, it's almost, I don't even know why I do that. No, it's what I always say. Let's give it a little bit of a sniff. Right off the bat, this has something that makes it much more Rhone-like, even more so than the first one, because it's coming with an obscene amount of black pepper. I mean, it is loaded with black pepper. That is right up my alley. So right off the first smell, I'm very happy with what's going on in the bouquet. I like this quite a bit. This has a really interesting black pepper meets stones, it's kind of very earthy in its approach, but the black pepper is just so dominant. Some people get headaches from sniffing too much black pepper. You can definitely get that if you continue to smell this wine. I'm going to go for it, like brain freeze. There it was. That it can get high then, that kind of like that. So let's give this a little bit of a whirl. This wine is real serious. It's like, really, to be honest with you, as good as this was, it's almost like, at least from the way it's made and its overall polish and its mouth attack and its feel and its complexity and its composure and its attack and its grip and its overall wininess, it's like the difference between a NBA player and a college player, or maybe a college football player and an NFL player. You could just, as great as these wines are, they're disjointed, they're still youthful, they're still trying to figure out their style. This is kind of like a polished vet, just comes in, knows what he's doing, and that could be in anything. An electrician, construction worker, anybody. This wine knows what it's doing. It's been doing it for a while, if you know what I mean. Gorgeous integration of three things. A little vegetal and peppery, almost like a salad. Great fruit, very vibrant, clean fruit. Beautiful strawberries, cherries, raspberries. I mean, just throw the whole berry farm in there. The fruit is very clean. You can tell the vineyards that this comes from are just producing tremendous flavors. And then a great tannin balance, smoothness, silky on the finish. I mean, like pure silk. I'm going to agree with Josh Reynolds. I think this is a 93-point wine as well. I know you're going to say I just scored this 93 points. I did. It tasted, but it's kind of a, how do I say it? I for me like this wine a little bit better. It just hits on all cylinders for me. There's a clear difference. This doesn't have the overall flavor as much as I like in here, but it definitely has much more polish, much more integration. It's a classier version, and they're just really both very good wines. This wine could sell for 7 to 10 years easily. As a matter of fact, all of these wines can. These are the kind of wines that are so big and robust that I recommend steak. I'm a big fan of drinking these wines with mixed vegetables with spices. I know, which is a very unusual concept where you normally go with a Gewürztraminer, which is a white wine. I've had some really interesting success with Shiraz Beyond Yay blends with that type of meal, especially if you throw a couple pieces of beef in there. These are wines that can be drunk young, but I think most of these wines will really benefit for 3 to 5 years of cellaring. This is something very much worth seeking out. I really had a lot of fun with this episode. It was very intriguing to me. These are wines I know very well. If anything, this should be the Shiraz Viognier Wine Library show. That's where I can really be an expert and really know what I'm doing. Question of the day. What 2 wines, one red, one white, would you want to mix together to make a new blended wine? What do you think would go well together? I let you play a little winemaker, a little wine blender. Which 2 grapes would you like to see come together and create a wine? Who knows, maybe we'll even allow you to do that someday with some sort of secret concept. Because you and a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, aren't we?